It's time!
What's kicking, everybody? We are back for another episode of Pickin' Fights. Tom's on my left. My name is Keith. I'm on the right. Tom, how are you tonight?
Doing wonderful. UFC 318 was last week. What a great battle between Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway. Good way to send him off. You know what? I in hindsight, we just went through and looked back at all of our picks from UFC 318, and I do regret it. I regret going with Poirier, obviously, in hindsight. You know, it seems so obvious after the fact, but hey, it was a good fight, and it was good for Dustin to go out that way. How crazy is it that they didn't get fight of the night?
It is pretty wild, but Marvin Vettori put on a really good performance. Like, even though he lost, I did say he was going to go out there and like push the pace and just go super hard. You know, we both picked Marvin Vettori, but definitely deserving of fight of the night. There were a few moments in that fight though where I think Max really held back. Like there was one moment when he just threw like a solid straight and it dropped Poirier. Dustin's on his back scrambling around, and Max landed like a couple of really good ones off the top. But you know, I thought it was just a really classy performance from Max, and I think he probably could have finished Dustin a couple of times, but he doesn't want him to go out like that. And yeah, you know, just the blessed is the best, and he's still the BMF and all that good stuff. So and your Dustin Poirier coming out of retirement theory doesn't come true now. So unless he comes out of retirement to fight Jake Paul, I could see that being the case. The most exciting fight on that card for me, the one that I stole from you, was Paulo Costa over Roman Kopylov. So really just fun card. We didn't do too hot, but you know, we're here to get back this week. It's UFC on ABC in like Abu Dhabi again. Rob Whittaker versus Reiner de Ritter, lighting the world on fire. Super stoked for this card, especially because it's one of those early afternoon Saturday cards. I'm pretty sure it's like 1 p.m. on the East Coast in America. So for me, that's perfect.
Noon start time actually on the East Coast, 9 a.m. for the West Coast.
Wow.
Morning fights.
Roll out of bed and watch fights. That must be pretty cool. But yeah, I'm super stoked for this one. I love the Saturday afternoon card. So let's jump right in. We got one prelim notable we want to talk to you about. I'm going with Bryce Mitchell over Muslim Shalikov. I'm sorry, not Muslim Shalikov.
Saeed Nurmagomedov.
Muslim Shalikov is the fight before on this card. You know what? I just want to talk about that one real quick. I'm just going to say one thing. I think Carlos Lila is going to knock out Muslim Shalikov. Good hands, strong guy. I like his mustache. Bald head, mustache guy is cool. All right, Bryce Mitchell.
There's the mustache.
Yeah, bald head, mustache guy from Brazil. I like him. Strong hands, and Shalikov's old. Anyways, Bryce Mitchell. I like Bryce Mitchell to beat Saeed Nurmagomedov because Bryce Mitchell's weird and loses to guys with really good hands. And I don't think that Saeed Nurmagomedov has really good hands. And I don't think that his wrestling is superior to Bryce Mitchell's jiu-jitsu. Bryce Mitchell's jiu-jitsu has really been holding up for him. Like, sure, he's been pretty streaky, but he's also been fighting absolute dogs with knockout power. That's usually who he loses to, and that's not Saeed. So I expect Bryce Mitchell to go out there and maybe even do something similar to what he did to that Gracie fella. So, yeah, give me Bryce Mitchell. You know, I think he's going to be the aggressor in this fight, and Saeed's going to be hanging on for dear life, just trying to, like, grab a leg and control the seatbelt. So Bryce Mitchell's going to expose him, and he gets annoyed when people just hang on to him. He starts, like, thrashing and trying to pick him up and slam him. Bryce Mitchell all the way. What do you got, Tom?
No, those are all good points. I noticed that the Tapology page has them at 145 and 135, Mitchell to Nurmagomedov, respectively. So I was just going back to see exactly what weight is this fight happening at. The one downside to Tapology is that they don't make that immediately obvious to you. It's over here on the side. It's being fought at 135. So you got Mitchell going down in weight, which I think is interesting. Um, you know, I can't remember, and I'm trying to think back to if Bryce Mitchell fought at 135 before. I feel like he's been bouncing between those two weights. If anything, we think about Bryce Mitchell, we think a little bit of like a pudgier guy, and then obviously 135 is going to be a little bit more shredded. I don't know if he's had too much more success. I feel like he's been streaky in both areas. I honestly, even though there's not a lot to go on, I'm going to feel a little bit more confident Saeed Nurmagomedov. Like, Bryce Mitchell, we've seen him take some damage before. We've seen him lose. We've seen his grappling not necessarily do the trick. And I think I don't know. I'm going to go the other way. I don't know. Something about this matchup makes me think Bryce Mitchell's going to pull it out. Um, you know, as I was saying, we've seen his grappling not necessarily come through for him, but I think Saeed Nurmagomedov, he's going to have a solid grappling base, but he's really not that good of a grappler like the other Nurmagomedovs. Don't get it twisted. I don't think he has much of a relationship to the other Nurmagomedovs. I think he just has the similar last name. He's a kickboxer by trait, and I think Bryce Mitchell is going to be able to get in there. I think he's going to probably spend a lot of the time holding on to Saeed Nurmagomedov and end up punching his way to, a ground game victory. So I'm going to go with Bryce Mitchell. I feel like he has an edge on his shoulder ever since kind of being exiled and forcing to eat his words and stuff. I think he likes to think himself as like a free spirit and can't be kept down. And, he did have to walk some things back. So I think he probably feels some type of way about that. But he's got a lot of chip to his shoulder. He's looking to avenge that loss to Gene Silva where he was submitted by Ninja Choke. So I'm going Bryce Mitchell to get this one back. It's plus 100. Tapology has it 61% to Nurmagomedov. It's going to be a good fight. I still think the UFC is maybe, you could say, punishing him a little bit, for what he said and whatnot, giving him less than favorable matchups. But yeah, I'm going to say he actually gets this one done against all odds. Give me Bryce Mitchell.
Nice. All right, main card time.
Yes, sir. Here we go.
All right, off the main card. Starting it off, we got a guy who we haven't seen in. Well, we saw him 3 months ago lose to Dominic Reyes, and that was actually like a return form for Dominic Reyes over Nikita Krylov. Bogdan Guskov, on a pretty solid 3-fight win streak. I'm going to go with Bogdan Guskov here. I think that I think Nikita Krylov is kind of out of his prime. He had that injury, long layoff. Bogdan Guskov isn't like anything special, but Nikita Krylov he hasn't shown me much in a while that I'm like, wow. And Bogdan Guskov is consistently winning against guys. So, I'm going to go Guskov here. I like the pick. I think that Krylov just looks a step slower these days, and Guskov is very methodical. So, yeah, Bogdan Guskov. Ukrainian Anthony Smith or Uzbekistanian Anthony Smith. Yeah, give me him. What do you got?
Ed. So what I was saying during that entire time was that I'm going to be going with Nikita Krylov here. I think when you look at the relative experience and who these guys have fought, you have Zach Pyuga, he knocked out. Zach Pyuga was not that good, not that high level, not that crediting of a fight. You have the loss to Volkan Ozdemir where he got submitted. You have a win over Volkan Ozdemir over here for Nikita Krylov. That's your UFC math. But I think beyond that, you have the loss to Dominic Reyes, and you want to give credit where credit's due. I think Dominic Reyes is still a pretty solid fighter. And then the loss to Paul Craig, that could happen to anybody. I know Paul Craig loses a lot, more than we would like. But, he can get you. So I just think that the level of competition that Nikita Krylov has fought inside of the UFC far exceeds Volkan Guskov. So I'm going to go with Nikita Krylov. I mean, he's not that much older. I mean, we're talking like a year. No, we're actually talking within a few 2 months of each other, honestly. So I think these guys are very similar build. I like Nikita Krylov. You got a Ukraine versus Russia matchup. So I think that might be also particularly interesting. So we'll see who comes out on top. But yeah, I'm going with Nikita Krylov to get this one done as the UFC stalwart.
Nice. Next up, we got Asu Amalbayev versus Jose Ochoa, and I'm going to go with Ochoa here. I'm going to agree with the people of Tapology on one thing. They mainly have Albayev, but I'm going with Jose Ochoa by knockout, and that's what the majority of people that are voting on him are going with. Pretty even fight line wise, minus 120 for Ochoa. And main reason why I'm doing that, Amalbayev, most recent loss to Manel Cape, and very similar fight styles. Jose Ochoa is another wiry 125, or very springy, very small, compact, but really great striking game. Land a couple off the face, and he could put you to sleep. And that's exactly what happened to Asu Amalbayev the last time around. So I think Manel Cape might have exposed something in his game, and Jose Ochoa is going to expose it again. So give me Ochoa. What do you got?
Yeah, this is a good matchup here. Yeah, I'll ride with you on that. I like shoot the box Diego Lima. I mean, yeah, that you have one really good Kazakh in the UFC, and so I think maybe some people might be betting on Asu Amabayev, thinking about that. But yeah, let's go with. I'll follow you on that. Go with the younger guy here. I think he's got kind of a little bit more of the X factor, and yeah, I like it. Let's go with Jose Ochoa here.
Yeah, sleepy pick. Honestly, forgot to mention the Diego Lima shoot the box part too. Next up, we got Shara Magomedov versus Mark Andre Barriol. And I'm going with Shara Bullet Magomedov here. I think it's a really solid pick, really obvious choice. He's minus 500 for a reason. Vegas loves him. And Mark Andre Barriol is no Michael Venom Page, who Shara Bullet just picked up his last loss to. Completely different fighters. Mark Andre wants to plot forward and throw big, heavy strikes, and Shara Bullet wants to dance around and throw nasty spinning attacks, like loop things over the top, and he's gonna doink a couple of things off of Mark Andre Barriol's skull, and I think he's gonna catch him with some kind of spinning kick that's just gonna put him to sleep. We've seen Mark Andre get knocked out in comical ways. I think it's gonna be another one this weekend. So give me Shara Bullet. What do you got, Tom?
Yeah, I'm going Shara Bullet. I think, like you said, you look at the last loss to Michael Venom Page. I think that was a really that was a test matchup for Shara Bullet. And okay, ultimately he wasn't ready for Michael Venom Page. And at 31, it'll be interesting to see how much he actually develops further. He's not allowed to. I don't think he is get into the UFC, or not the UFC, the USA. So it'll be really interesting to see his career develop outside of the USA and only fighting on ex USA cards. So it'll be interesting. Marc Andre Barrios is a pretty decent sized step back from the competition that Shara Magov had made his way up to fighting to. So I'm going with Shara. I think this is almost like a charity type of offering for Shara opportunity. I think he's third, or what's that, Coco Main, third fight from the top. So he's gonna have eyeballs on him. Interesting to use eyeballs with that picture, but that being said, I'm going with Shara Magomed to get this one done. Shara Bullet.
Nice. All right, now we have the actual co-main event, and that's Piotr Jan versus Marcus McGee. Piotr Jan minus 370 favorite. Very good reason for it. He's been around. He's fought the best guys at 135, and for the first time in a while, he's not the older guy in the fight. Davison Figueiredo might have been pretty close to age, but recently he's fought guys like Song Yadong, Sean O'Malley, Murad Valashvili, guys that are a little bit younger than him. And Marcus McGee, even though he has a little bit less UFC experience, is 35 years old. He's a plus 285 dog. He is 10-1, and I'm almost positive he's undefeated in the UFC. And really solid streak. He's earned the shot to fight Piotr Jan, who's also himself back in a potential title contention, coming off of 2 wins over Song Yadong and Davison Figueiredo, both great fights for him. I got Piotr Jan here. I think he's, if not top, well, he might be like top 3 boxers in the UFC. At one point in time, I said he was the best boxer, had the best hands in the UFC. Since then, other guys have emerged that are slightly better, but Piotr Jan, you can't sleep on him. So, yeah, give me Piotr Jan over Marcus McGee just to outclass him over 3 rounds, 15 minutes, wrestling, throwing the hands, and a couple of nasty trip takedowns that he likes to throw, spinning kicks to the body. It's going to be a classic Piotr Jan masterclass. Maybe Marcus McGee picks up around, but I think maybe like 2-1 Petr Yan. What do you got, Tom?
Yeah, I'm going to go against you there. And I think, Marcus McGee is going to perform way better than people expect him to. Just because he's ranked at 12 doesn't mean that he is, less skilled. He's had control of and finished almost every single fight that he's had in the UFC. That exception being his most recent win over Jonathan Martinez, who was 19-5 going into that fight 8 months ago. I think Marcus McGee is a very solid fighter, and I look for him to do better in this fight than people are giving him credit for. You see there that Petr Yan is minus 370, Marcus McGee plus 285. I think there's a chance that he potentially picks up a round, but ultimately I don't see Petr Yan dropping 2 rounds to Marcus McGee. So I'm going with Petr Yan to get this done. This would be a massive upset, one bigger than plus 285 suggests. So yeah, I think Petr Yan is going to get this one done. 92% of Tapology is on Petr Yan, and I think that's more indicative of what my feeling is on this fight.
All right, nice. Now time for the main event out there in Abu Dhabi. I'm very excited for this one. Both of these guys 34. However, Rob Whittaker has been in the UFC for a while, was the champion at 170 and 185. And Reiner de Ritter was the 185 champion, and I think a double champ at 1 FC. Made his way over to the UFC. So it's 2 guys are the same age, but one guy's a well-renowned vet, and the other guy is new to the UFC, but beating the crap out of everybody. 4-fight win streak so far. Notable names. Most recently, Bo Nickel. That was embarrassing for Bo. That knee to the body was insane. Submitted Kevin Holland. Submitted Gerald Mearshart. So, I like the guy a lot so far, and he's got a very similar fight style on his feet to another guy that beat Robert Whittaker recently, Dragos Du Plessis. I think that fight's a fight that's destined to happen. It's going to be like the Roadrunner versus the Coyote, Wile E. Coyote. Brain fart, couldn't remember his name for a sec, but that's one that's destined to happen, and I think that this is going to be like a cartoon fight as well, where Rob Whittaker is doing the best possible job that he can to kickbox, and he's going to look really good and everything is going to be smooth, and Reiner de Ritter is just going to catch him with like weird stuff that doesn't make sense, eventually drag the fight to the floor and submit Robert Whittaker. So yeah, he has 5 rounds to do it too. Most definitely Reiner de Ritter over Robert Whittaker this week. I'm surprised that people are going the other way, but being that this is a 5-rounder, I really think he has the opportunity to take Rob into deep waters here. So again, give me RDR, my fellow Dutchman. What do you got, Tom?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I initially just looked at this fight, and my first indication was RDR to get this one done. You look at them; they're basically the same age, 20-2 versus so Rob has a little bit more UFC fights, obviously, but MMA experience. But RDR has more experience holding championship belts, and ONE FC is not a slouch organization, and to hold 2 belts simultaneously, and the way he won those, same way he lost them, was one challenger coming and beating him at both weights. But he did it first. He went and he beat I forget the guy's name, Thai fellow, but he beat him at both weights. And I think that says something about your character, your championship level training, and your resolve. And that's not something that Robert Whittaker doesn't have in spades as well. But at the end of the day, I think when it comes to a matchup, RDR, I think, does all of the things that Rob Whittaker does well better. I think that he's a better grappler. I think he's a better striker. I think he hits harder. They're the same age. I think he has great stamina. The fact that he's plus 150 here, I truly don't understand. I wonder if it is just riding off the back of name recognition. What does Tapology say? Tapology has it dead even with 51% on RDR. I think plus 150 is an absolute effing steal on RDR at this point. I think he should totally be favorite money. And the fact that he's not, and it's what day of the week is it? It is a Wednesday, and he is not favorite money. Maybe they know something we don't. Maybe Rob comes out and he kind of puts both of us to shame. But my gut feeling on this is RDR is going to go out there, shock the world, and you're going to see him rise for a belt very soon. I think he's done. I was a little bit curious to see how he was going to look in the UFC, especially coming off those losses in ONE FC. But he had that fight out in whatever organization, UAE Warriors, right? And then GM3 went out and submitted, looked great against Kevin Holland, looked great against Bo Nickel, man. And Bo Nickel was lighting the world on fire. RDR just went out there and showed that there are levels to this thing. So, yeah, I think immediate. I love it. The turnaround into Robert Whittaker. Let's do it. And I think RDR takes this one. I think he's on a run, man.
That's a guy that really puts you into title contention. If you beat Rob Whittaker, your name is automatically up there. And RDR's beat a lot of the guys. It's the set path, and he's beat a lot of those guys already.
If you beat Robert Whittaker and you're the only guy to not just beat Bo Nickel, but like annihilate Bo Nickel, that says something.
And Kevin Holland and Gerald Mearshart, like those are solid names, and he beat them all really well.
Yeah, but you don't even. They're solid names, and they're not even worthwhile talking about because if he wins this fight, you'll be like Robert Whittaker, and he put Bo Nickel to shame. Yeah. Oh, by the way, his warm-up fight were Kevin Holland and GM3. Like, let's go.
We'll see how that Bo Nickel fight ages as time goes on. You know, I mean, I don't have faith or any trust in Bo Nickel after that one, but yeah, it still is huge, and it's really big form that got him into this. So, you want to do our pick rundown?
All right, you first, my friend.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll go first. Starting down with our one prelim. Actually, I took two prelim notables. I got Carlos Leal over Muslim Salikov and Bryce Mitchell to beat Said Nurmagomedov. On the main card, I'm going with Bogdan Guskov over Nikita Krylov, Jose Ochoa to beat Asu Almabayev, Shara Magomedov to probably knock out Marc-Andre Barriol, Petr Yan to beat Marcus McGee, and Reiner de Ritter to beat Robert Whittaker. What do you got?
I am deviating from you pretty strongly. I am going with Bryce Mitchell to win over Said Nurmagomedov. I am going with Nikita Krylov to win over Bogdan Guskov. Aligning with you, Jose Ochoa over Azu Almabayev. Agree with you, Shara Magomedov over Marc-Andre Barriol, Petr Yan over Marcus McGee, and RDR over Robert Whittaker. Look for Marcus McGee to actually do well and compete, but Petr Yan to ultimately get the W.
Love it. Just a couple things before we bounce. Please like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate you being here with us. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and right next to it is the bell, so you get notified when we go live with our picks and everything. And also follow us on Twitter at Pick and Fights Tom, at Pick and Keith, at _Pick and Winners on Instagram and X, and Spotify. Check us out on Spotify for full audio and video. Am I missing anything, Tom?
No, it's good.
All right. Cool. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for spending your time with us, Tom, and your people at home as well for watching us, commenting, liking. Appreciate all the interaction. Have a good night.